You know, I don't mean to brag too much, but I still feel like a very fortunate guy here on the internet. Sure, I don't have a garage full of exotics, and I don't eat Michelin star meals every night, and I certainly don't live in an expensive mansion day after day. But you know, sometimes you get those opportunities that allow you to experience that larger and more grand side of life. And as much as I've enjoyed times like that, there's little voices in my head that have kept telling me two things. You should never live outside of your means, and you should never meet your heroes. And as much as I normally agree with those statements, today, I get to do them both. There have been so many times over this long YouTube career of mine where I've had to grab the biggest handful of skin and just pinch myself knowing that a car company as prestigious and well-known as Lexus would reach out to this average Joe of a guy who makes these autistic, way too long car reviews here on this little thing called YouTube, and they say, how would you like to drive a six-figure luxury two-door GT car? You don't get phone calls like that very often, but when you do, you better say yes, because the opportunities not only don't present themselves very often, but the reward is so worth it. And I've been fortunate enough not to experience this reward once, or twice, or even 3 times at this point. No, this 2024 model that I'm driving right now, with all of its bespoke options included, not only cost way more than any money I could ever dream of having in my bank account, but it also now makes the 4th time that I've gotten to experience the masterpiece that is the Lexus LC500. I'm not just saying this because I'm sitting in the driver's seat of one of their cars right now, but over the years, I've already known that Lexus builds some of the best cars you can buy right now. And I mean that seriously. Think about it. They're reliable, they have great quality behind them, and they cover pretty much every area of the automotive industry. But there's something about this one that feels way more special than any other Lexus that I've ever had the chance to see, smell, let alone drive. And that's all topped off by the fact that this LC500 carries an engine that not only has been in some of my other favorite Lexuses like the ISF and the RCF Track Edition, but it will go down in my personal history book as the best motor in this modern day and age that Lexus has ever carried on the tradition of putting in their cars. The 5-liter all aluminum double overhead cam V8, 471 horsepower, just a hair shy of 400 foot-pounds of torque, 10 gears that just pop and crack and snarl whenever you hit the over 7,000 RPM red line that this car is capable of. I know everybody's going hybrid and EV everything, but it makes my heart go absolutely nuts to know that a car company like Lexus that has their own hybrid fleet will still put a V8 in a car that is as beautiful and luxurious and comfortable as something like this. Now, it's one thing to roll into it, but what about if you step on it? Oh my God! Oh my God. Oh, guys. Oh my God, I've got a problem. And I can already hear so many of you keyboard warriors go into your computers to say, no, the LFA is the best car that Lexus has ever made because it had a V10 and it sounds like nothing else on the road, or my dad's LS500 is the best, or my mom's RX. It just doesn't matter. Now, you guys have heard me referring to the LC as a GT car, a Grand Tour. Basically what that means is this car is designed to cover a lot of miles in a very relaxed and refined and comfortable and quiet feeling. And when you're just driving along normally, it's exactly that. Just cool, calm, collected, not really paying much attention to anything except for the road. But Dr. Jekyll's been cooking up something serious under that hood, because you put this car in its most hardcore setting in Sport Plus, drop the 10-speed transmission into manual, have a little play on the paddles, and all of a sudden, Dr. Jekyll's hardcore potions will come to life in an instant. What more do you need to say than that? And while anyone in their right mind would kill to keep experiencing the firepower that this car can offer, it's even better to me knowing that Lexus put it all in a shape that looks like this. I will forever maintain that the LC500 Coupe or Convertible is literally a concept car that drove right from the auto show into dealership showrooms, and everything about this car is top class, and they've even spec'd it in this case in a very interesting fashion, and that's for a good reason that we'll touch on here in a little bit. But first, the color, the ultrasonic blue mica 2.0. I don't exactly know what the 2.0 stands for. Maybe they just threw a little extra metallic flake in it, but I know this is a color I have loved since I first saw it on a Lexus ISF a good number of years ago. But everything about this car's design is designed to grab your attention in every single way. I mean, just look at the headlights, for example. The premium triple beam lights surrounded with that metallic gray accent, a signature on the LC500 since it very first came out. You've got the signature design daytime running lights. You've got the LED turn signals in the corner. These have adaptive lighting. They have the LED corner lenses. This one has the air skirts that go through the front corner, also a signature on the LC design. Also, a shape that we've kind of been seeing dying off, maybe just because they've been changing how angular it is, but this one has a slightly older version of Lexus's corporate designed spindle grille, but it's been made perfectly. It looks like it was made for this car from the get-go, with the silver accenting in the middle, surrounded by all kinds of bright chrome. It accents beautifully with the blue, and as you would expect for its price, it has all the tech you could want. This one has a 360 camera, as noted by the lens right under the Lexus badge. This one also has Lexus's newest full safety suite with everything from your forward collision warning, radar cruise control. I mean, it's all there, and you would expect that, wouldn't you? And while it may only have 2 doors, the LC still covers a pretty good patch of tarmac here, stretching just over 187 inches long. To put that in perspective of how big this car actually is, that's about the same length as a 2023 IS500 sedan. So despite having 2 less doors than the IS and only being a 2+2 luxury GT, this car will still cover a pretty good sized patch on the road. And you can't go saying that statement without also talking about the choice of wheels on this particular car. This one is wearing the optional bicolor 21-inch wheels, and they don't look like any other set of 21s that I've seen on an LC500 before. Going back to my ISF comparison earlier, this car kind of reminds me, or at least the wheels do, of the ISF. The wheels have that beautiful vapor chrome silver mixed with the polished face on them. They have those huge brakes hidden underneath. And if you're going to be paying over $100,000 for any car, you better be getting the best technology you could possibly want. And there are quite a few niceties that I could say are here on the exterior, but they're not the most outlandish or lavish things that I would think of on a car of this price point. You can see the mirrors, they're power folding. They have the black on top with the body color underneath. This car, as I said, has the 360 monitor, so there's a camera underneath there as well. You have blind spot monitoring, rear cross traffic alert, stuff you would definitely expect. Maybe not what you expect though is this glass roof, or at least the black roof here, which also has a non-functioning sunroof. That's a bit of an interesting one, not actually having a sunroof that opens and closes, instead just having the cutout with the shade hidden underneath. But all the same, one of my favorite features is not just the advanced keyless access that we have here, but the way that you actually get in and out of this car. Now you have the simple functions like lock, unlock, trunk, panic, the releasable key blade that comes out of the rather futuristic looking key fob, even though it is getting a little bit old in terms of key fob design. But it's more so the door handles. They kind of remind me of a Nissan GTR when I very first saw those way back in the day. Right now, as you can see, the car is locked, not just obviously by the mirrors folded in, but the fact that the door handles are flushly hidden into the side of the car. You want to unlock it, just have the key with you, push on the front part of it. You can hear that unlocks the car, and as you can see, the mirror is now full out, and then you just pull on the back of it in order to get in. If you want to lock it, you could hit the lock button, or you could just gently push on the outer edge of the handle. And before you even get to this car's rear end as a whole, it must be noted, I'm just gonna say it, she has a big old booty back here. I mean, look how much wider the rear end of this car is compared to the front. Just that big set of hips back here. And that is partly for a reason, due to the fact that this car has the secondary air skirts right here going through and exiting out right in front of the rear wheels. But as you come to the back, past these big haunches, you get to almost a slight representation of the front. You can see some elements of like the spindle grille design and part of the bodywork back here. The LED lighting is just the same in the back as it is in the front, except this one has that three-dimensional look to these LED taillights. You've got the LED turn signals, more of that metallic gray accenting going on back here. This one, as part of the options list, does have the speed activated spoiler, which flies right up in the air after you get up to a certain speed, or you can just raise it up manually for that matter. You have the intuitive park assist that goes across the rear. But aside from all that technology, the best thing to ever come out of the back of this car is the noise that it makes. And while practicality is never the top thought with anybody buying a car like this, it's worth noting that if you're going to take the LC500 on any kind of a trip, you better pack lightly, because there's not much room to be had back here. Now, you could use the key to open the trunk, as would anyone, or you could use the little hidden cargo button back here on the passenger side taillight. And when you open it up, you're only looking on its best day at about 5.4 cubic feet of total usable cargo volume. Now, that is partly due to the fact that the floor of this car does sit up pretty high, but nonetheless, we actually were able to fit a small 5-shelf bookshelf from Walmart back here. After removing things like the Lexus roadside safety kit, it actually was able to fit all the way across this entire trunk. But it's also amazing to think that a car of this price point and caliber has less overall cargo volume than a much less expensive Toyota GR86. That is just amazing. Something that costs a third of the price of this on its best day has more usable space than a 6-figure luxury GT. Now, it really doesn't matter how many times I've seen or been in an LC500 prior to now. Every single time I've gotten in one of these, this car's interior never ceases to amaze me. It just blows my mind how a company like Lexus continues to further and further define the term flagship. But this one has been turned up so far, it's mind-blowing, because for an extra $3,600, this car I'm sitting in has been given what Lexus call the bespoke build treatment. And you can see it from the moment you lay eyes on this cabin. The navy and cream leather combined with the signature ruffled blue Alcantara here on the doors. Everything is just, it's beautiful. It feels like a combination between a high-class yacht and first class on a private business jet. It's amazing. You look in front of you, you have this beautiful navy colored leather trim steering wheel with the metallic paddles on the back, and you don't even have to start the car for it to come down and greet you a little bit. You just reach back and grab your navy colored seat belts, and the moment you put it in, on top of that, everything else in here is pretty familiar though. with a couple of exceptions. The buttons in front of you are all the same. The arrow pad and adjustments for the thin film transistor gauge cluster, radio controls, volume controls, Bluetooth, voice recognition, and of course the entire set of Lexus safety system options. All things I remember from the past times I drove it. What I don't remember though is this car having as high-tech of an infotainment system as this 2024 model has, because before the screen was set so far back in the dash, it used the most ridiculous remote touch interface system with its vibrating little computer mouse sort of thing, and the technology was just so dated, it amazed me that Lexus even thought of putting it in a six-figure luxury GT car. Not the case in this one though. We have a 12.3-inch high-definition touchscreen infotainment system. Yeah, you heard me right. There's no remote touch interface anymore. It is all touchscreen. It has the newest highlights infotainment system, and not only does it have the 360 monitor that I was mentioning earlier, it has wireless Android Auto, wireless Apple CarPlay. It has even your own personal Lexus assistant built into the system. All things you would expect when you're paying this kind of money. But speaking of paying money, one thing I can really appreciate is the $1,220 Mark Levinson reference audio system. Combined with the new screen, suddenly this car's interior goes from being a luxury car to being like your own personal home entertainment center. Now, while being in a high-end mobile movie theater is certainly nothing to turn your nose up at, a lot of the other stuff below the screen is a little more on the basic side, although it is presented beautifully, as I would expect from a car of this price and quality. You have this aluminum-trimmed dual-zone climate control system, which can also be accessed through the touchscreen, but that's a little more complicated than I like. And below that, everything is just so simply laid out. On the right-hand side, you have your camera controls and heated and ventilated seat controls. You have all of your radio functions down there as well. You also have the very peculiar setup for the 10-speed automatic transmission. Seems to be a common theme with the LC and both the LS500 that I've driven a couple times before. Not only that, you also have controls for your auto brake hold. You have the button for the speed activated spoiler out back. And then you get to one of the more peculiar center consoles I've ever seen. You push one button and it slides back, revealing a pocket big enough for, say, your smartphone, or at least an average size one, as I've said before. It also even has a small little holder big enough for maybe a bottle of soda, even though you do have an additional cup holder hidden up there just above the shifter. But then if that's not enough space for you, it does open to the side so you can store even more stuff in your six-figure luxury GT car. And on that note, boys and girls, this now wraps up our review and drive of the 2024 Lexus LC500. And guys, I mean, what more is there to say? The best car I have ever driven, bar none. You can forget Ferraris, Porsches, Lambos, all that stuff. I know those are most people's dream cars, but if I won the lottery tomorrow, this is the car I would buy. I would order one exactly like the car I've been driving for the past week. Everything about it I absolutely love, from the small little details down to that monster of a heart and just everything else in between. But if you guys have been as excited as I've been over this past week to join me on my LC500 journey, then give this video a thumbs up, and also while you're at it, smash that subscribe button down below, because trust me, stuff like this far exceeds any other opportunity I could have ever had at any point in time recently. And it would not be possible without subscribers and viewers like yourselves and partnerships like Lexus USA. But in the end, guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. I will see you all in the next one. Take care, everybody, and stay safe.